it's Becca from the Saunders Pack, and I have some unfortunate news to share. So it's been actually almost 3 months since this happened. I didn't record earlier because it's sad, and I didn't think I can get through the video without crying. Now there's been a little bit more time and space, and I'm just going to try to be a little matter of fact and tell you what happened. And I'll probably put some pictures of the dogs up or something because I don't want my face just the whole time. Something terrible happened to 2 of our puppies. Sullivan is a digger. He likes to dig a lot, and when he starts digging, then the others will help, except for Stella, who is not interested. And the dogs had dug a hole and were running under the fence. It wasn't a huge deal because they'd always just come right back home. They usually stayed on our land too. We have about an acre, and they'd usually hang out around there. There are cows next door, which they like to look at, but they never mess with them or anything. So we were in the process of fixing it. We had tried to fix it a few different times, and then Sullivan just kept digging more, and then they would help. And so like we'd fix a hole and they'd dig a new one. And anyways, long story short, we were trying to get the supplies needed to fix it. Then we had everything, and we just needed the time, because with the toddler, time is not always there. So one morning I let all 4 dogs out into the backyard, and it was about 4:30 in the morning. We were having to get up pretty early because we share one car, and we both had to go different places and drop the baby off, and so it was a busy morning. So it was about 4:30 when I woke up, and I let the dogs out. It was still dark outside. Didn't really think much about it because, you know, even if they get out, they always come right back home. All you gotta do is stand outside and call for them, and they're immediately coming in the door. And it's like 4:30 in the morning. Nobody's awake. We don't live in a neighborhood, so we don't have, you know, a ton of neighbors. Anyways, when I came back in, the baby was crying. I needed to help her. I ended up falling asleep with her in her room. So I was comforting my daughter, and then I fell asleep with her. When I woke up, it had been like an hour, and we're trying to rush and get out the door. We're all trying to get ready, and my husband and I are taking turns calling the dogs. So when I first went out onto the porch after I woke up again, it was around 5:30ish. I went out to the porch and I called for them, and they didn't. Well, let me back up. So first thing, when I woke up again, it was around 5:30ish. I went to the backyard, and only Stella and Stormy were in the back. So I thought, okay, the boys got out. I'll just have to call them, and they'll come right back in. Not a big deal. So I think we got a little too comfortable with them just always coming home, you know? Like, in the beginning I worried about it, and then it was like, well, they always come home. Not a big deal. We're fixing it soon. And I just got too lax on it, really. We also weren't leaving them out for long periods of time anymore. And so I would have brought them back in after about 5 minutes, except for I fell asleep while comforting my daughter. So just none of it went the way it was supposed to. But anyways, so I let Stella and Stormy in. I put them in the kennel to make sure that they stay inside, while I left the door open trying to call Scrappy and Sullivan. And so I'm at the front door, and I'm calling, and they're not coming, which is really weird. The sun still had not come up yet. It was dark, and we weren't really able to see. There's no light outside at my house. We need to get some porch lights going, and we're thinking about getting these like solar powered lights for our house, but we haven't yet. And so it's like pitch black. You can't see. I mean, I couldn't see the end of our yard. And so I'm calling and they're not coming, and I feel like that's really weird. So I just leave the front door open, and I've also got to get myself ready. I've got to get the baby ready. We've got to be out the door by 6:30. And so we're kind of on a time crunch now. It's getting nearer to 6, and I've got to make sure that we eat, and we're gathering up all our stuff. So Chris and I are taking turns between getting ready and calling for the dogs. And we're just going back and forth and back and forth. And it gets to about 6:20, 6:25. Like, we really need to be getting in the car to go. And we look at each other and we're like, what do we do? Like, the sun has just barely come out. We still can't really see well. We can just see a little bit, and they're not coming to us. And it's been an hour of calling them. This is really unusual. We're worried about them. But we also know that both of us have to get to work. And so, you know, if we don't leave right now or in the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to get caught behind all the school zones. Everybody's going to be late. And so we're trying to figure out what to do. And so we're like, okay, well, at least we know 2 of them are in the house. We might just have to leave, and we both hate it, but like, what else are we going to do? And I said, okay, well, you know, it's light outside. Let me go walk the side yard. Like I said, we live on about an acre. So there's a big fenced in backyard, but then there's also some, just an area like to the side of our house. You might have seen it in some of our other videos. That's got just a big grassy area and some trees. And we've got like a little shed too. So I start going over that way, and I said, okay, I'm just going to go look in the side yard and see. Maybe they're over there like trying to go potty or playing or digging a hole. Sullivan likes to kill moles, and so maybe he's like hunting, you know. Those are the kind of things I'm thinking. And so I start walking over there, and he's like, okay, I'm going to get the baby in the car and get us ready to go. So, okay. Well, I go over to the side yard, and I see Scrappy, and he's laying on the ground, and I feel him, and he's cold. He had been dead for a while while we'd been calling. We just couldn't see him because there wasn't enough light out yet. And so, of course, like, I'm horrified, and I'm immediately racked with guilt of like, why did I fall back asleep? Why didn't I stay with them in the backyard? There's so many things I could have done that I didn't. And of course, I'm like hating myself for this now, because I could have prevented this. And it's a really hard reality to face, knowing that like, okay, I made mistakes that have ultimately cost my pet his life. And so I'm grappling with this, and I call over my husband, and he comes to look at him, and we at first don't see an injury. His body was pointed as if he was running home and fell and just kind of collapsed. He wasn't that far from our house, which is probably the saddest thing of all, but like, if we would have maybe gone out with flashlights, we might have been able to find him in time or something. I don't know. And I try to stop myself from going to all those what ifs, because there's nothing that can be changed now. But it's still really difficult to think about, you know? It's really difficult. So, anyways, my husband comes over, and we're both crying, and my daughter's just oblivious. We've got the car started, and she's in the car playing with her toys. And I am so thankful that she's young enough that she had no idea what was going on, because it would be just even more heartbreaking to see her struggling with this loss. But we're trying to figure out what to do. My husband ended up calling in and saying, I need to take the day. I need to bury my dog. And so he did. He got us dropped off where we need to go, and then came home and buried Scrappy. And we weren't able to find Sullivan. He looked all over. We're trying to find him. I called all the shelters thinking, okay, so I should add, when my husband went to bury Scrappy, he saw a bullet wound. So there was a bullet hole on his side. He had been shot, and I can't imagine why. We didn't hear a gunshot, which is just a whole other, like, question mark in my mind of, like, when did this happen? Where did this happen? He was really close to our house, and so I don't think that happened on our property, right? But it must have been extremely close, and he was trying to run home while injured. It's heartbreaking. Just absolutely heartbreaking. So my husband tells me later, he wanted to tell me later, and we both just cried. We were wrecked. And he couldn't find Sullivan. He looked all over, but I called all the different local shelters and rescues and told them what Sullivan looked like. I'm thinking, okay, maybe Scrappy got shot and he got scared and ran away. So we tried to notify everybody, and we hadn't gotten him microchipped yet. It was kind of on our list of things to do, but we were going to get it done in his 1 year shots. But nope, didn't get that chance to do that. And so I started thinking, okay, one dog is dead. Is the other one dead too? And we weren't sure. And then the next day, there were vultures that came, and they were on the back of the property behind us. And I'm thinking that he had probably passed away on that neighbor's property. So that's what happened to our boys. Scrappy was killed. We assume that Sullivan was as well, but we don't know for sure. We haven't seen him in the last several months either, and the vultures went away after a day, and it wasn't near where Scrappy was found or where he was buried on our land. So we have a pretty good idea that that's what happened to Sullivan as well. Stella and Stormy are perfectly fine and healthy. We have fixed the fence, and even so, we're extremely careful with them. And we've made sure to test it for different periods, not leaving them very long. They both don't dig, so they've been fine. But that is what happened to our boys, and obviously we're heartbroken about it. The only reason I'm really able to go through this story right now without tears is because it's been a few months. You might have noticed that in the time since this happened, I have posted videos of our dogs. I have a whole backlog of videos on my computer, and I went ahead and made the decision to go ahead and post them because it's a great way to hold on to those memories. I'd hate to just erase the videos that we do have, and things tend to get buried on your phone, and cameras got to be emptied, and I just figured, okay, I'm going to go ahead and post the videos that we filmed for, and then when I want to see it, it'll be right there, easy to access, and those memories won't be gone too. So, you may see a few more posts with the boys in them after this video as I'm posting my backlog of things, but eventually you will stop seeing them, and this is why. I thought that you would probably want to know. And this is also a good reminder for anyone out there to be careful. Be extremely careful with dogs when they're digging out. And technically, if our dogs were on someone else's property, they didn't do anything illegal. We don't live in city limits, so it's perfectly legal to do that. It's perfectly legal to shoot an animal on your property where we're at. Do I think it was right? Absolutely not. I mean, Scrappy has never even growled at a person in his entire life. When he sees a new person, he just comes up to lick them. I mean, these dogs are extremely friendly. I don't think that anyone was actually scared for their safety. When we talked to one of our neighbors, they said that the guy behind us The guy that lives behind us had shot their dog too. So I just think it's a person who doesn't like dogs and did something pretty hateful. That's what I think. I think that if our dogs were on his property and it bothered him, that he should talk to us, not just kill them. Obviously, we don't know 100%. I just thought that you'd want to know, because if you subscribe to this page, if you watch our videos, then you care about these dogs, and you might be wondering after a while where the boys went. And so that's where they are. Thanks for watching.